Saintess summons skeletons. By Morn. Chapter 61, Specializing. Name, Sofia Afinareth. Age, 20. Class, Necromancer. Level, 100. Health, 5500/5500. Stamina, 1500/1500. Mana, 44500/44500, -10,000. Active skills, 6/6. Holy Skeleton, level 93, LV 99. Heal Undead, level 56. Summon Blood, level 17. Angel's Bolt, level 100. Maiden Banshee, level 100, LV.99. Graveyard of the Righteous, level 1. Passive skills, 5/6. Blessing of the Deep, level 19. Armor of Bones, level 100. Pristine Essence. Valkyria's Rihafen of Sorrow. Holy Wings of Undeath. Classless skills, 6/6. Menial Chores, level 7. Sprint, level 3. Fast Reading, level 19. Way of the Fool, level 3. Poker Face, level 9. Identify, level 1. Summoned Heroes, 2/4. LV.99 Perith, Dormant Soul. LV.99 Alith, Maiden Banshee. Might as well use the other things before going out. Class skill level up points, 2, are being used on Graveyard of the Righteous and Blessing of the Deep, are you sure? Class skill level up point *2 have been used. Graveyard of the Righteous reached level 100. Blessing of the Deep reached level 100. That leaves me with only 3 skills that can receive the last point. Holy Skeleton is almost at 100 and Heal Undead will level up on its own, it's strong enough already either way. Could use the point on Summon Blood I suppose, but that really feels wasteful. I'll keep it for later. Who knows? In case of emergency. And finally the active skill specialization point. Active skills, 6/6. Holy Skeleton, level 93, LV 99. Heal Undead, level 56. Summon Blood, level 17. Angel's Bolt, level 100. Maiden Banshee, level 100, LV.99. Graveyard of the Righteous, level 100. It would be interesting to use it on Alith's skill, but I don't think she'd appreciate that. Haven't tried my new skill yet, but I don't feel like it's good enough to become my specialty. This has to be the reward for downing Orvad, can't waste it. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Can I get more detail on specialization? A new system message appeared. No way I actually can? Hey, that's an identify window, isn't it? Skill specialization point, active. This reward for an exceptional trial performance is not to be used lightly. Use it to permanently imprint a known active skill in your spiritual body, allowing you to eventually unlock its full potential. The chosen specialization will influence all future skill acquisitions and development. Item level, -1. Grade, virtual. Restriction, user must be Sofia Afinareth. Soulbound. Active skill only. Single use. Perith or Angel Bolt then. Or I could wait. Sofia thought back to her fight with Orvad, specialized in stone cubes I would guess. There's probably big benefits in getting a specialization early, or it wouldn't be that hard to get. Using it on Angel's Bolt is really tempting, but I need to go with Perith. As far as I can tell from the trial, all that's in store for this skill is more and more destructive power. I don't want all my skills to be like that, summoning cool skeletons to fight for me on the other hand. Thinking like this, she remembered about the armies of undead she imagined she would eventually control back at the orphanage. Now was the time to make these dreams a reality. I missed the real Necromancer class once. Not twice. Skill understanding sufficient. Skill specialization point, active, has been used. As part of the imprinting, skill has been leveled up to 100, please select a skill path, you may enter a cumulative 1 level debt to be offered new paths, previously unlocked paths may still be selected. Path of the Destroyer. Unlocking requirements. Has killed 3 or more bystanders in a single blow by accident. Has destroyed a magical item by accident. Has destroyed numerous habitations. Has destroyed a dungeon. Has destroyed a wall by running into it. Has destroyed a vehicle. Has destroyed itself. Description: you destroy like you breathe, and all under your command shall destroy too. The skeleton on the path of the destroyer knows little else than hitting things with his fists, but he does it extremely well, nothing shall stand in its way. You may accept this path or choose another one. Current debt, none. Debt, that's not something I expected right now. Sofia walked circles around the table debating with herself. It has so many requirements, it can't be bad. But also it's too attack-oriented. 1 level to get a new one is quite expensive though. Well, no choice but to go until I get something really good. Better to have a huge debt than a bad specialization. Debt is temporary. You have chosen to pay for a new path. Path of the Lich. Unlocking requirements. Has revived once. Has experienced physical and spiritual body separation. Has experienced living in a factus, substitute or artificial body. Has a wealth of knowledge about the undead. Knows at least 5 death-related skills. Owns an item suitable to be used as a phylactery. Description: the Lich is a higher undead. Your skeleton will become a Lich of high intellect, with control over lower undead and devastating spells. Death is not the end for a Lich, shall their physical form succumb, their spiritual body will keep fighting. You may accept this path or choose another one. Current debt, 1 level. Interesting but also weird. Parath is already technically unkillable. And it's still very much attack-oriented. Next. You have chosen to pay for a new path. Path of the Assassin. Unlocking requirements. Has performed a surprise kill. Has killed a human of higher level. Has escaped from an enemy unnoticed. Has used stealth to gain an advantage. Has a skill related to speed. Description: the assassin is a silent killer. Your skeleton shall go unnoticed by all. A master at seeking the perfect opportunity. The assassin accomplishes their task quickly and efficiently. No one is safe from the shadows. You may accept this path or choose another one. Current debt, 2 levels. I don't like the sound of this one. What a waste of a level. You have chosen to pay for a new path. Path of the Strategist. Unlocking requirements. Has evolved the shenanigans skill. Has an above-average intellect. Looks good with glasses. Description: what does a good skeleton strategist do? He strategizes. Especially competent at organizing and leading a skeleton army, should you own one, however, any army will do. Is also a decent business advisor, just don't let anyone know what's hiding in your closet. You may accept this path or choose another one. Current debt, 3 levels. Whoa, calm down buddy, these unlocking requirements are way too impressive. I'll take the compliment, but I don't need glasses. That wasn't worth a full level either. Sofia said out loud as if waiting for an answer. She was starting to really feel the sting. Her hands clenched on the table, she asked again for a new path. You have chosen to pay for a new path. Path of the Bone Lord. Unlocking requirements. Has seen many bones. Has handled many bones. Is carrying a lot of bones. Has broken bones. Has eaten bones. Has polished bones. Has attacked with bones. Has defended with bones. Has taken part in bone-related rituals. Has crushed bones under their feet. Has had deviant thoughts about bones. Feels at home surrounded by bones. Isn't an undead. Description: you and your skeleton are one. He is the bone of your bones. Prithee, let the world know, the Bone Lord has cometh, atop his bone castle, riding his bone steed, let his lonesome start a bony reign eternal. You may accept this path or choose another one, current debt, 4 levels. This is what I get for complaining about the requirements being too weak, isn't it? This. Only a crazy person would pick this. It sounds dumb as hell. Your mom wants to be the skeleton. Give me back my levels. Thinking back at how long every level from 90 to 99 had taken to get, Sofia was starting to really regret not taking Destroyer. But she was already too deep to stop before getting something really good. Surely the next one. She had trouble containing her shaking as she read through the next path. You have chosen to pay for a new path. Path of the Little Sister. Unlocking requirements. Has an older sibling. Knows how to take care of children. Is keen on a good squabble. Isn't a very good cook. Is female. Description: this makes your skeleton look and act like a helpful little sister. Expect warm family moments, delicious meals, and a lifetime of love. For those who dare harm her beloved big sis, however, they court a fate worse than death. You may accept this path or choose another one, current debt, 5 levels. This has to be a joke. Slouching lower and lower on her chair, she kept asking for new paths, lifeless and defeated. Everything looked weak compared to Destroyer. Some of the choices even had her roll her eyes. Path of the Banker. You may accept this path or choose another one, current debt, 6 levels. Path of the Scourge of Stones. You may accept this path or choose another one, current debt, 7 levels. Path of the Sandworm. You may accept this path or choose another one, current debt, 8 levels. Path of the Eclipse. You may accept this path or choose another one, current debt, 9 levels. Sofia was about to reflexively spend a level again, but her expression changed as she glossed over the requirements for the Eclipse. She straightened up in her chair. Path of the Eclipse. Unlocking requirements. Has encountered extra systemic beings. Has expanded the systemic range. Is acknowledged by a moderator. Hosts a Tier 1 scribe or higher. Has either 100,000 mana and above or advanced mana senses. Is stronger than this skill's summon. This skill's summon is willing to protect the summoner at any cost. Wields magic of the opposite element than this skill's summon. Description: how a small moon can hide a giant. The Eclipse skeleton wields holy light as a weapon and armor, fitted with a diverse array of utility and defensive spells. Nothing will get past him. Those reaching for the sun will find themselves ensnared in the Eclipse's shadow. Sofia read this last path's window multiple times. She had many questions, but also one certainty, be it the difficulty of the requirements or the power she could expect while reading the description, it was on another level compared to everything else until now. A sound only Sofia could hear resounded. Ding! Congratulations, you have unlocked the specialized skill, Eclipse Skeleton. First relayed by the group of hunters who had been passing through the mountain, a new folk tale took shape. It was a story of a madly laughing golden shadow, flying over and through the giant pine trees at breakneck speed, loudly crashing into the trunks and scaring even the toughest rune bears into hiding. The hunters never took this path again. Chapter 62, Livestock. I'm pretty sure it was around here. Sofia was flying in place above the pine canopy. It was a level of mastery of her new wings that had taken a whole 3 days of wobbling and crashing to acquire. Despite the wings being mostly incorporeal, with only the skeletal part being tangible, it wasn't some kind of decoration with floating magic attached to it. The ragged holy light part of the wings that only appeared when she deployed them was actually acting like real wings, taking support on the ambient mana instead of air. This offered much more support and propulsion than regular wings would. It also meant that instead of riding wind currents, Sofia could only ride mana currents, which she thought was pretty cool. She experimented with using her own skills to create mana currents to ride for faster flying, but that was outside of her capabilities for now. At most she could gain some speed by chasing an angel's bolt, which wasn't that convenient, especially since she had to rely on the Saint equipment set's passive regeneration effect to heal herself up. At least she now held pretty well against the heat with her augmented HP, the new clothes and her armor. Enough to still be able to fly afterwards. The only sad part was the salamander vest that she couldn't wear anymore because of the wings. She was searching for a cave in the mountain flank. She had spotted it during her test flights but couldn't find it anymore. There were a few huge bears on the mountain, with glowing symbols all over their legs and paws. She wanted to hunt one. The first reason why was that the house's pantry had run out of meat, and she wanted Alith to eat well when she woke up, and also, if Perith can be a rat. If she could, she would rather not actually enter the cave, as it would bring a lot of dangers, especially since it was too narrow to fly in. But the rune bears were an elusive few and their cave was the best place to find them. If it was theirs. She landed with one foot on the tip of a pine tree. It had no real utility but it looked cool, she thought. She was weighing whether that kind of use was enough to warrant keeping way of the fool. Falling was extremely less scary when you had wings. It's not as if that's all the skill does though. I can get rid of sprint and menial chores, maybe poker face too. She thought back to how hard it had been to manage her facial expressions when she was acting as Aurelia. Yeah, no, I'll keep this one too for sure. But where are the damn bears though? Imagine being unable to find a single big bear that's 3 times my height and that literally glows in the dark, on a mountain flank full of nothing but them and huge trees. Surely that would never happen. But it did. Night was coming down, and she didn't have the demon's 360 night vision anymore. The mana sight helped but not much. She flew back to the cottage, some way up on the mountain. Everything around was a mountain or a valley, as far as she could see. She couldn't fly too high as the ambient mana thinned down at higher altitudes, making the wings incredibly harder to use, so she couldn't look over the higher mountains in the horizon. Entering the dark cabin, Sofia walked over to the kitchen to start a fire. She checked up on Alith, still peacefully sleeping. Come on, it's been almost 2 weeks. Are you stuck in there or something? She went on to prepare a simple vegetable soup. She read over her new specialization skill for likely the 100th time. She couldn't get over how incredible it sounded. She was itching to try it out, but if Perith was going to come back, it had to be in a good and strong skeleton. Eclipse skeleton. Binds the Saintesmancer with Perith. Perith keeps all previous abilities, their scaling and efficacy is enhanced by an additional 100%. Perith is now soul linked to the Saintesmancer. Perith is now able to teleport to the Saintesmancer's side at any time, from anywhere. There is no longer any mana cost in communicating with Perith. The Saintesmancer is now able to see and hear using Perith's senses. Perith's level is now linked with the Saintesmancer's. Perith completely negates any damage it would take that would amount to less than 10% of its total maximum health. Perith knows the following skills. Active. Sanctified Grounds. Flying Shields of Light. Chains of the Four Seals. Gravity Well. Purification. Greater Heal. Passive. Stellar Corona. Shapeless Weapon of Light. Shapeless Armor of Light. Higher Magical Damage Negation. Space Magic Resilience. Displacement Skills Immunity. Blessing. Perith gains bonus strength and health proportional to their body weight. This is really too strong. Perith has more skills than me now. And no body. Tomorrow for sure. A man in a black outfit sat cross-legged in a plain tatami room, his eyes closed and his expression stern. He was immobile, unperturbed by the storm outside. This was a turbulent night. Seemingly addressing no one, he calmly nodded before settling back in the same position like a statue. A wet thud. Something rolled on the tatami mats, followed by the barely perceptible sound of someone landing there. it was unknown where they came from. Only then did the man deign to open his eyes. You did not have to make a mess out of the room. My apologies, master, said the short girl that just entered the room. She bowed down at a straight 90 degrees angle. She was wearing a similarly black and form-fitting attire. Give me none of this, we are now equals under the command of our Sunday. You accomplished your final task. Your training is over. Raise your head, Imperial Shadow Arisu, the shadows need not respect anyone but the Emperor and themselves, the man said in his signature monotone voice. When he mentioned the new shadow's name, he allowed himself a rare hint of a smile. Producing a letter out of his sleeve that he sent her way with a flick of his wrist, he continued, "This is your first assignment, report to the Emperor when you're done." As she blinked, he disappeared from the girl's sight. She still had much to learn, not from his teachings but from experience. Before disappearing in the rainy night, he whispered 2 last words in her ears, "Well done." Alith wordlessly stood in the room. She looked at the decapitated head of some fat noble she had herself thrown on the floor, a slaver. Disgusting. Then she gazed at the letter bearing the wax-stamped imperial seal in her hands. She thought about opening it but the contents were ultimately pointless to her. She traced her fingers around the seal. It was the same seal that had been burned in her flesh the day her trial started. She still had mixed feelings about it. She threw the letter away. I wonder if Sof's done too. Sofia woke up in the middle of the night, a cold finger prodding her cheek. Again. But she opened her eyes to a black-haired girl in a drooping pajama and not the weird lanky man she had seen in the church. The candles on the table had been lit, lighting up Alith from behind. Her hair looked very red like that, instead of the usual black. "You alive?" "More than you," Sofia said, still half asleep, chuckling as she sat up. "Whoa, that's a low blow. I'm a very lively undead. You're the one who's deadpan half the time, so who's alive and who's dead, really?" Alith retorted, leaning forward and crossing her arms over her chest. "What do you mean? I'm the most expressive Saintmancer to ever exist. What have you got to say about that, Sofia emphasized each part of her argument by bringing her face closer and closer to Alith's, eventually touching foreheads. They couldn't pretend to remain serious any longer. Alith was first to burst in laughter and Sofia followed in kind. Alith brought a chair near Sofia's bed when they settled down, sitting facing the backrest with her chin resting on it. "So, how's it worked out for you? Not too hard without me or Perith to take the hits. Also, any idea where we are?" "Saw the letter but that doesn't say much." "Congrats on the wings by the way, definitely a steep contrast with that whole pure Saintess character you've been going for." "What character are you?" Sofia rolled her eyes at Alith's wink, then continued, "Lots to say, story is a bit long on my part, can we start with you?" "Oh, easy enough." "So I entered the tower, some light went up the walls, I laid down in the middle and passed out. Woke up back in my old world, kind of, in a place I'd only ever heard of from old grandpa's tales. First thing I knew I got enrolled in a secret organization and they hot iron branded my ass like some livestocks. Then I got sent to a training camp with 50 other kids. Kids. It is what it is. So the training. Chapter 63, The Leveling Never Ends. Then I grabbed the lightning attack and died, I guess. Then I woke up here. A bit of a risky play if you ask me, but I didn't really have many other options. Also I'd already died twice by then, so. Hey, Sof, it's okay." It was out of character for Alith to be patting Sofia's head, but she wouldn't say anything about it. It felt nice, actually. Relaxing. No more dying, okay, I'm the only one who's allowed to do that. I can be brought back, you can't. Think a bit about how I'll feel then before you jump head first into this kind of shit, alright? No answer. Alith sighed. I'm serious, Sofia. You brought me here from the dead. Now don't you fucking die on me. I'll never forgive you if you do. Sorry, Alith. It's just. I've been feeling on edge for a while. It's been mounting up and up. No matter what I do now, I'm more impulsive? Like I think less and act more? I try to forget it, but I feel like it's been getting worse. Is it the stress from the threat of the church? It's less dangerous now, but that's still a thing. Who knows how long until they teleport you back? Maybe that's part of it, but no. I think it started before I left the church, so. But it wasn't too bad back then. Even now I don't notice it most of the time. But it's strange when I do. I feel like I've been getting more and more unhinged for a while. Maybe it's just my personality shifting. Or I didn't know myself that well. Sofia concluded. Alith looked worried. It does sound like the stress is getting to you. I'll see if I can brew you a little something relaxing. Or at least some herbal tea. Get back to sleep, all right? I'll go look at what plants I can find outside. Might need you to identify them to be sure though. I'll wake you up when I'm back. Okay. Thank you, Alith. And after I leveled up I came to wake you up. The level up didn't hurt. Not that much, like a bad fever maybe. Sofia stared daggers at the culprit for her suffering in her passive skills. If it wasn't so potentially useful she'd delete it right then and there. Instead she took a sip of her cup of hot tea. How many stat points? She asked as she focused back on the conversation. 2,500 health and stamina, mana still only the 10,000 I leech from you. I got some clothing too apparently, haven't opened the box. Alith pointed at a small pile of boxes near her bed. That's way more than one box. Yes, since the skill level boosts were useless to me they gave me those instead, 1 for 1, so I got 9. Gachapon box they're called, no idea what it is. No clue either. Wait, 9. What do you know, I was in there for 6 whole months, did a lot, I skipped a mighty load of things in my recap earlier, would have taken forever if not. And I didn't even get a specialization point like you. What about your skills? 1 new classless, replaced menial chores, an active and a passive from my dumb class, and a special passive from the Phoenix Blessing. Have a look. Shinobi, grants precise control over your body and weapons, the result of intensive and resolute practice. Additionally reduces noise produced and visibility of the user in low-light environments. Efficacy tied to maximum stamina. Another skill to hide your presence. You're really going for that whole ghost character. She was cut short by a light chop on the top of the head. Don't steal my jokes. Or at least use them on someone else. Also keep reading. I want to open those damn boxes gachapon things already. Utterly unimpressed. Strike a disinterested pose and gain 50%, 0.5 * skill level, resistance to all damage and ailments for up to 5, class level /20, seconds, max, 30s. Performing any other action cancels this effect. 60 seconds cooldown. Presentable, your hair doesn't get tangled. Your makeup doesn't run. Your nails do not break. You do not grow any body hair. Your face is more symmetrical. Your teeth are white. Your skin is unblemished. Your clothes do not crease. You do not sweat. You smell of flowers. Under a storm or in the deepest pits of filth, a lady must always be presentable. And thus, you will. So this is why you don't stink after the level up. Sofia, I took a bath while you were still sleeping. I was disgusting after the level up. Air of Fire, apply a stack of Devouring Fire on target for every successful melee attack, up to 100 stacks. An attack needs to deal at least 1 health point of damage to be successful. Devouring Fire lasts for 3 seconds, renewed upon applying a new stack, and augments damage received from all physical attacks by 10%. While Sofia was still busy pondering over the worth of these skills. Hurry up already, begged a muffled voice from somewhere in the room. Both girls turned to the source of the voice, Alith's reward boxes. They looked at each other, then at the boxes again. Come woo. I'm stay arving. It was a rather weak voice, now without a doubt coming from the boxes, more precisely the bigger one, that held the clothing reward from the additional task. What? Say Alith, what was the prompt for your clothing reward again? Give me a second. Here, she said, the old system message now showing up for Sofia too. Additional task reward, clothing piece, doppeltopper, *1. Well. I'll go open it, Alith confidently informed her as she stood up. You sure? It's a reward, no? Can't possibly be dangerous. Sofia had the reflex to start preparing an angel's bolt just in case, but Alith was way too fast and was already taking a thing out of the box. It looked like a ring of smooth and stretchy black cloth. Maybe as wide as a hand, with not much else going on. Sofia could tell it contained some mana, though not much. Alith was going straight to the point, talking to the lifeless piece of cloth she held at an arm's length, pinched between two fingers. You're the one talking. Yes, it finally answered, followed by another silence. I need food, please, give me your shirt. Alith looked back at Sofia, they exchanged worried and confused looks. Seeing Sofia shrug, Alith threw the thing on her bed and started to take off her pajama top. You're really going to give it your shirt, remarked Sofia, dismayed, as a topless Alith threw a pajama shirt on the talking piece of cloth. I've learned not to ask too many questions when things make absolutely no sense, made life much easier in the place I was in for my trial. Sometimes you just need to trust the process or you end up in an endless cycle. If you say so. Meanwhile on the bed, the pajama shirt was sinking into the black ring of cloth. As if pulled into a sand pit, it completely disappeared into it. Which was followed by a loud burp and some sighs of satisfaction. You don't have to stare, you know, that's rude. But thank you for the meal, the thing on the bed expressed, its voice neutral, different from before. Sure. Who are you though? A shirt-crazed cloth demon. Alith asked. Who? Are you all right? I'm clearly a piece of clothing, the thing said as if addressing the dumbest child it had ever met. Oh, unless, are you asking for a name? That's a thing you breathers like to have? Well, anything is fine really, I do not really care much for such things. The band, magical strapless bra, the peck ring, tube top, sensor bar, annoying fucker, the jiggle canceller, priceless artifact, you name it, I've heard it all, pick whatever you like and put me on already, or do you like exposing yourself? Annoying fucker? Yeah, I already feel I can get behind that one. So that's it. Your clothing, and we should wear you. We? No can do sorry, I mean, your friend over there, too much for me, I'll get nauseous, no thanks, I don't go on breather mails either, once was more than enough. Oh, and I need some free space for myself, okay, no capes, no shirts, coats, jackets, armor, no huge straps across the chest or anything like that, and no pants that go too high either, please keep that stuff far away from me. The more the thing talked the less Alith managed to keep up with the situation. All the while, the cloth kept blabbering, it's disgusting, really, I mean, you put legs in them. Can you believe this? Legs. Disgusting. It makes me sick just thinking about it, these subclothes have not an ounce of self-respect I tell you, and, it was Sofia that cut his rant short. Do you always prattle this much? Are you insulting me, nauseating breather? Well, I will let it slide, it is beneath me to get mad at the likes of you, I suppose. The answer you're seeking is no. I sleep most of the time. Then I eat. And I help a bit in battle, I should pay for my meals, after all. Today is special, as I see myself forced to educate you. This whole thing irked Alith quite a lot and it showed on her face. You're talking an awful whole lot of shit for something that was begging me for food a minute ago. She grabbed one of her mithril sickles. Hey, no need to get violent. I'll be good. Please. I'm sorry. Get away. The mithril blade stopped right above the thing. Now you speak when I ask you to. Why yes, master. Chapter 64, Cursed Lands. So I feed you armor. Only the chest plate. And you become permanently that resilient, and despite being so small you protect my whole body, that's it. Exactly. What if I'm cold? You don't exactly cover a lot. Feed me a coat, I'm a very adaptable piece of clothing, yes. And last question, if you had so many owners before, why are you so afraid of these? Shouldn't you be full of incredible armor already? What could a tiny mithril-coated blade possibly do to you? Ah, well. You know how I have been starving. It isn't optimal for the conservation of my imprints, let us say. I had to consume them for sustenance. I am currently as tough as the shirt you fed me. I just put you on then. Yes, please. Truth be told, I am uneasy without a wearer. I apologize for my behavior until now. Towards you too, now yellow breather. You think it's really asleep? Sofia asked in a whisper. Looks like it. Does it feel different than normal clothes? The wearing an object that's alive part? Or the being practically naked part? First one. Can't tell the difference, except I keep feeling like it'll slip up or down but it doesn't. And I know you didn't ask but it feels quite breezy. It's easy to move around while wearing it at least, for obvious reasons, but I don't feel all that protected. Especially visually speaking. Well, unlike me you don't really have anything to be ashamed of. What in God's name could you possibly be ashamed of exactly? Do you still feel like you're not tall enough or something? To each their own I guess. Alright, let's open the boxes and get out of this place already. Well, they're all yours. Alith opened the lid of the first box. Inside was a single purple bean stuck in a corner. Want me to identify it? Sofia suggested. No need, comes with a message, wait I'll share them. Sofia could read the message as Alith kept going. Congratulations. D rank draw. You won, night vision pill, 10 minutes, *1. The messages kept coming one after the other as Alith opened all the boxes in quick succession. Alith's first impression on each one came along with it. Congratulations. C rank draw. You won, minor health pill, plus 500, *1. Okay, nice. Congratulations. E rank draw. You won, stylish glasses *1. What? They don't even have actual glasses, it's just empty frames. What a scam. Congratulations. C rank draw. You won, minor strength pill, plus 500, *1. Strength is an actual stat. Congratulations. A rank draw. You won, analysis scroll *1. I'll need you to identify this one. Congratulations. D rank draw. You won, underwater breathing pill, 10 minutes, *1. Why not I guess. Congratulations. D rank draw. You won, relaxation pill, 10 minutes, *1. This one she didn't comment on and just ate straight up along with the strength and health pills. Congratulations. SS rank draw. You won, selector ticket, forgotten relics, *1. Hey, it's many S like my blessing, gotta be good. Need you to identify this one too. Congratulations. B rank draw. You won, bestiary illustrated series, slimes, *1. And a book I guess, whatever. Was this worth the equivalent of 900 skill levels? Sofia asked. Don't think so, honestly, though the ticket thing and the scroll could make up for the rest. Alright, let me identify all that. Analysis scroll. This scroll provides a single use of the Identify skill at maximum level with added system commentary. Item level, 100. Grade, Flawless. Restriction, user must be a lith. Soulbound. I'm sure we'll find a good use for it at some point, Sofia commented, scratching her head. Or we never use it for fear of wasting the opportunity. We'll see, but I don't intend on keeping it forever, I'll tell you what. Forgotten Relic Selector Ticket. This selector ticket can be redeemed for a compass leading to a forgotten grade relic of your chosen type, as long as it exists on this planet. It provides no help in retrieving the relic besides showing the optimal path to reach it. Item level, 100. Grade, Flawless. Restriction, user must be a lith. Soulbound. And then this could turn out well, if it ends up being easy to get and a strong magical item, Sofia said. Yet and could be another scam. What if the thing is deep under the ocean or something? Well, you got that one underwater breathing pill. Wait, wasn't the Zangdar ring forgotten grade 2? Yes, it was. Alith played with the ring she was still wearing. Maybe I should ask for another ring. A skill scroll could also turn out good, Sofia added, or straight up ask for a valuable treasure. What if I get armor? If I ask for a good chest plate to feed this thing? Sounds like a decent plan. It's your ticket. Let's go for that then. Onwards to the legendary armors. Give me an incredibly strong chest plate that isn't too far. Ticket. Any size is fine. The rectangular white piece of paper labeled Forgotten Relics disappeared from Alitha's grasp. A small wooden compass landed on the table with a thud. Its wooden needle was spinning in all directions, and then it brutally stopped. Alith looked at the compass, then at the direction it pointed at, then back at Sofia. So, about your plan to check out Scarage again. That'll wait, I'm not so sure it's safe anyway, even with wings. Let's go find your rusty armor. Don't care if you can't die, I'd still rather not have to see it. Hey, different subject, but now that I think about it. You never used Maiden's Shriek, no. Oh, so you noticed too. I've never stopped saying my class was terrible. But well, I couldn't transform in the locked city, and I didn't want to incapacitate Zero and the crew when we fought the siren. So when would I have used it exactly? Well, maybe now you'll get a chance. Sofia had a guess that they were somewhere in the northern parts of the human continent. The problem was, the compass pointed straight north, and she had no idea what was up there. Only that the human civilization didn't extend that way for one reason or another. Still, it would be faster to go there and check than to go back south and gather information. And Sofia was still more preoccupied by getting stronger than quenching her curiosity. She tried her best not to think about it too much. She somewhat had her hopes up that they had completely given up, since it had been so quiet, but she dreaded getting summoned by the church again. So Sofia flew north. Alith could fly along in ghost form, but she was slower, so she ended up going for a warm nap inside the sand pendant instead. It had been a while since she could enjoy that. Besides, she was still wearing her pajama pants, as she had nothing else. Flying through the monocurrents was exhilarating. Especially now that she had some amount of training, going as fast as she could in the air was incredible. She didn't want to say it, but this was even better than summoning skeletons. Speaking of which, since Perith still had no bones to call home, or rather body, she had tried using the skeletons from Graveyard of the Righteous. Unsurprisingly, this did not work, and even if it would have, it turned out these skeletons didn't even have legs. Unpractical. Of course, there was always the option to grab any random animal. Perith had already been a rat after all, but now it just felt wrong. As Sofia kept going forward, she observed the surroundings. It was eerily quiet. Despite the vibrant forests and valleys, animals were few and far between. And there were few signs of human life to be seen, bar some dilapidated ruins and old overgrown paths. It felt like a forbidden land. Like a place where only plants had the right to strive. She even passed the ruins of a castle, or so she thought, as it was hard to tell under the masses of verdant vegetation. Everything was covered in wild plants and moss. Rocks, rivers, trees, everything. Sofia kept flying north. She was thankful that she didn't have to go on foot. It might even be impossible. The plants were so prolific, at some points it was hard to see anything else but the sea of greenery. The only other sight was the rare snow-covered mountain top that escaped the rampant growths. Sofia pushed forward, the vegetation lost its overbearing quality after a while, and the land looked normal again, though still unnaturally quiet. The temperature was rising as she progressed up north. By the time she found something, it already felt like a scorching summer day. Her new clothes helped her stay cool, but Elith had a hard time when she got out to check the compass. Which didn't even make sense considering her supposed immunity to heat. I guess it's in her head. The needle was still pointing north. Finally she spotted two things on the horizon, firstly what looked to be a human village, and beyond it, endless expanses of red sand. The peculiar village was in a valley right at the border of the desert, lodged between two small rocky hills. Before landing on the hills nearby, Sofia flew up as high as she could, trying to spot something, anything, other than red sand further north. To no avail. It was all barren red dunes, as far as the eye could see. Chapter 65, Red Sand, Blue Glass. Sofia and Elith approached the village on foot. Flying in might not be the most polite thing to do. We do look weird enough even without the flying. Sofia wore her elegant new clothes, but could do nothing to hide her skeletal wings. Even folded neatly against her back, they showed enough that you could see them from the front. Conversely, Elith looked rather normal. If you forgot her being barefoot and wearing nothing but white pajama pants and a plain black strip of cloth around her chest. Without mentioning carrying two sheathed mithril sickles by hand. The duo's storage space had been reduced to only the sand pendant, and it couldn't fit much. Supposedly they didn't need to eat as much now that they were level 100, so that wasn't an urgent issue, especially after the meal they had before departing. The water situation however did look a bit dire if they expected to enter the desert. And that was their destination, since the compass needle hadn't shown any movement. Hopefully they could buy what they lacked here. Sofia counted a total of 7 homes in this village, as well as 2 larger buildings. There wasn't much of anything else on the outside besides the obvious paths linking the different homes. Where even the sparse strands of yellow grass you could still find growing this close to the desert didn't survive. They could not get very close before someone flew out of one of the bigger buildings by a side window. A winged woman, stubby leathery wings, but wings nonetheless. She approached and landed in front of the duo. Fighter, LV 199. Quite the high level, but same filter as us. Maybe she failed her trial, we might still be able to beat her. I wish I had Parith ready though. You gals flew across the green, she immediately asked, without waiting for an answer. Weird wings. Though I ain't much better, she continued. What's a saint and a hero doing here? Fleeing your kingdom? Quite the unusual duo. Sofia didn't feel like answering. We could ask the same question, about you and this place. Oh, so you didn't know about the glass shop? Quaint lil place ain't it? I'd whatever, come inside, it's burning out here, but don't make a mess, I'm paid to protect this place so, yeah. Just like that she turned and flew back to where she came from, leaving the duo behind. Elith looked at the open window. She's a bit easygoing for a paid guard, don't you think? She is twice our level, do you feel threatened by a level 50? True, but still. Well. Carry me I guess. Sofia frowned, can't you climb the window by yourself? With all these times you've been making me out to be a child, now you don't want to do it, she shrugged. Sofia rolled her eyes, but she spread her wings anyway and grabbed Elith. The winged woman's name was Tyrene. She was actually ecstatic to have found 2 new conversation partners. She offered free refreshments, and so the three sat around a table in a side room of the large building. The building itself was some kind of warehouse filled with crates of all kinds and sizes, and they were in the guard post near the entrance. Sofia explained that Alith and her were out to explore the north as a way to relax after the trial, which immediately dampened the winged woman's mood. "Damn," she sighed, "I'm never gonna get over it yet. Ah, sorry, every time I think about the trials I can't help but be like this. Tough shit." Alith was quite curious and had not an ounce of tact to give this day. "You failed the second one?" she asked. "That I did, quite something, the second trial. You know what you're in for." It seemed the woman's mood had shifted again. She was that enticed by the simple act of conversing. Seeing the duo's lack of reaction, she continued, "Well, hear me out, the second trial. It's the same for everyone. The main event at least. Or so we think." "You think? And who is we?" asked Sofia this time. "We as in everyone. The thing is, no one is allowed to talk about the second trial. Not much more than what I'm telling you right now anyway." "Not allowed?" Alith chimed in. "Yeah, you're a hero so you should know, right? The censor? Same thing but worse. The system's in your head, it won't even let you try to spill the beans, no matter what you do, can't even write it down, nothing. Well, it's true that the system can listen to our every thought. Even the scribe. Somehow it's worse when she says it like that. Well, that's everyone's lot anyway, system's good. Probably. Why'd you tell us this then? I don't think that helps." "Kinda worrying actually," Alith complained. "Well, I can still give the same advice everyone else does, don't go in there until you're maxed out of your mind. Upgrade everything. Spend all your money. Redeem all the favors. Whatever power increase you can get will help you there. Don't go in the damned place randomly, you get me? This is all we're allowed to say. But I can swear that it'll help." She drank her whole glass of water in one go, "and with luck you'll succeed where I failed. You really can't describe what the trial is, like not a single word." Alith pressed on. "Nat, if I try to, my mind blanks out, not that pleasant. Can you tell us where it is at least?" "That ain't no secret, go east, cross the sea, beast folk capital. We won't be going there anytime soon either way." Sofia rejoined the conversation. "Why are you alone here by the way? Looks like a village from afar but... You mentioned glass." "Yeah, this place makes glass. Blue glass to be specific, what's used to make spatial items like your pendant. It's that obvious to everyone that it's what it is? Maybe I should get a longer cord and hide it in between." Sofia thought as she looked down. Alith took the lead again since Sofia was spacing out. "Why here in the middle of nowhere though? Seen the red sand? It's mana-draining sand. Does what the name says. You need that in huge quantities to make a tiny bit of glass, so the workshop's here, it's a big conglomerate who owns the place, called Red Carpet, I work for them. I get everything until now. But why's the workshop empty besides you? Didn't look like anyone else is there. Everyone's left cause the green's spreading in this direction, workshop's going to relocate somewhere safer, but I'm here until the people come to empty the warehouses, gonna be a few more months. Wouldn't it be easy to move if the company's business is making storage items? Well, no. Can't store blue glass in there, doesn't work cause it has conflicting raw spatial properties. That's why I'm waiting for the airship, but it's broken right now. That's good, I'm not cheap to employ and I don't really have to do anything here. Free money is free. Just that the place is boring. Extremely so." Tyreen vigorously nodded. "It does look the part." Sofia chimed in again. "What's the deal with the green by the way? You don't even know that? Should research more next time before you sneak out." She stopped to refill everyone's glass with fresh water. "The green, well, you've seen it, all plants, furiously growing everywhere, no other signs of life to be seen. Something like 20 years ago, supposedly a very high-level elf died there, like above 9th filter. Seeing the girls start counting, she elaborated, above level 500, maybe higher. And well, things never go well when someone that strong croaks. Alith was shocked. You can go that high? Yet, why couldn't you? As long as you pass the trials, that is. Highest I've heard of is 520, not sentient though, elven spirit tree. What about the sentients then? Red carpets boss. Don't know how high exactly, but above 400. Human? Sofia asked. Former. Goes by Archlich now. Sofia looked at her own wings, and people are fine with that. What else are they gonna do? Fight him? Stop using spatial storage items. Guess I only need to reach 400 and I'll definitely be left in peace. What a deal. There's a good chance even your pendant's made by him, signature on the back. None. Oh, guess not then, he always signs TLDR, can't miss it. Where you girls going next? Can we cross the red sand? I wouldn't, but you can try, the sand drains all mana around though, you've been warned. There's some odd monsters in there too, like worms and stuff. I still think we'll try, Alith replied, I could use shoes though, and a few other things. Wouldn't happen to have some spares. Well, workers' stuff still in the barracks, whatever they left they're not getting back, won't say anything if you take stuff so long as you don't touch the glass crates or the machinery. Can get you some food and water too, doesn't seem like you have any left, unless you got another storage item hidden somewhere. How do you know I don't have it in my pendant? Small space, I can tell. Level 3 identify. Sofia and Alith spent the night there. Tyreen was endlessly talkative. They left in the morning with newfound supplies. The compass needle beckoned them to the red sands. Chapter 66, Dungeons. Poor Perith, who knows when I'll end up like this too. Stop dramatizing, any skeleton is better than no skeleton at this point, Sofia answered with Perith perched on her shoulder. She didn't understand how there could be such a lack of animals in this region. Maybe they all fled from the green. Summoned Heroes, 2/4. LV.100 Perith, Holy Chicken Eclipse Skeleton. LV.100 Alith, Maiden Banshee. Even like this he has more health than me, it's not that bad. They had shared a meal with Tyreen before leaving, who served a whole roasted wild chicken to everyone. Sofia had been careful to set the bones aside, pretending to keep them to crush into a homemade skin ointment. They flew along the desert's edge rather than going inside at first. They needed to move to hold the ritual for Perith, who was now enjoying his avian form, but also to try one of Sofia's ideas that she remembered from a book, triangulation. Their general conclusion was that since the needle actually moved when Sofia flew them away for a bit, the thing they were looking for was far in the desert, but not so far that it was impossible to reach by foot. Sofia could have tried to go for a more accurate distance reading, but the actual number didn't matter much. All they needed to know was that it wouldn't take months. Because they couldn't fly in. The red sand absorbed most ambient mana. It wouldn't prevent someone with regular wings from flying, but for Sofia it was crippling her wings. Of course Alith could still fly in spirit form, but walking was faster. It also meant that while the sand wouldn't absorb what mana you have stored in your body, mana regeneration would slow greatly, almost grinding to a complete halt. That was because most mana regeneration came from absorbing ambient mana. There was also the option to try going around the desert, maybe the location was on the other side, but according to Tyreen, the desert was immense, and that would take months, even with wings. So Sofia flew around until she found the spot where the needle was the most perpendicular with the desert's border, and they ventured in. The sand was hot and bothersome, it got everywhere, though Sofia was already used to that. They walked for 5 days and nights through dunes and dunes of red sand. Everything looked the same. No vegetation, no life, no rocks, only sand as far as the eye could see. They were starting to regret following the compass. At least there hadn't been a sandstorm yet. In the dusk of the 5th day, lit by the raising last rays of sunlight, a ruined city appeared on the horizon. Well, not here, needles still pointing the same no matter how much I explore. Great. Sofia had slept in the first half-roofed ruin they could find. Although her need for sleep was very low thanks to her high level and to the Saint's indolence gold chain bracelet, it was still something she needed every so often. Meanwhile, for Alith it was completely optional, as was eating, drinking, and everything else, so she went ahead and scouted the ruined city during the night. But I found something better. And that would be underground dungeon. The city had an underground level, and it's a dungeon now. Well, let's go. I have a level debt to pay off. If it goes on too long we'll just stop midway. I also want to go back to Skirich. Well, it's been so long. So many years since the tide. What are a few more months? Sofia followed Alith as she guided her through the collapsed ruins half submerged in sand. The dungeon's entrance was a closed iron trapdoor, leading to some stairs and a tunnel. You have entered the dungeon, ruined city of Azar, LV 200+. Okay, no, that's a no. Let's come back when we're strong enough. Sofia climbed back up the stairs, not giving the dark tunnel a second glance. You're not even going to try. No thanks, I'd like to stay alive now. Okay, wait. I have an idea then, exclaimed Alith. Very simple. You stay on the surface, move around all over the place, and that'll allow me to follow underground in ghost form. Sofia had to admit that the idea had potential. It was quite safe and also faster if Alith could avoid monsters and go through walls. Just like that, they got to work mapping out the entire underground dungeon. It was the remains of an underground level of the city, with houses and other buildings still mostly intact despite the obvious wear of time. According to Alith's description, the dungeon was populated by sparse earth golems about as wide as the tunnels, and not much else. She had pilfered a good few antiquities by the time she was done. All she had to do was to find the things, turn back to a human, take it, turn to a ghost again, bringing the object with her. She's like the ultimate thief, won't leave any trace, not stopped by any wall. Just that she can't go too far from me. She was in front of Sofia, only her head protruding from the sand. Found the boss I think, but it's too deep, can't go. Can we go there without fighting the golems? Maybe if we cheat a bit. Then. Let's go find your chest plate. We better not fight without some real protection. Alith thought it over for a second. Alright, I like that. Back to walking north then. They resumed their march. You loot anything good in there by the way? Not really, mostly decorations, most useful things didn't survive. Decorations for what? Our home. What home? Sofia asked, taken aback. We're gonna buy one. I'm the one locked with a level 100 accounting skill. So I'll make use of it. When we have enough money we buy a house. Nay, a mansion. Nay, a castle. Sure. What are we even going to do in a castle? There's only 2 of us plus a chicken. Better let her have big goals I guess. Actually if I sell blood again a castle might not be so far out. Wait, do we really need to live in the same place? And what about my old home? Guess I never told her about it. And it's not like I can live there. I also wonder how the orphanage is doing. Must have been surprising that I suddenly disappeared. I should go back there when we're done with this, it'd be good to retrieve the grimoire too. The desert was a lot less empty now. Still lifeless as ever, but there were at least many derelict and destroyed remnants of a civilization long gone. There weren't any skeletons left. Maybe they had been buried by the sand, or perhaps the people had abandoned this place to rot. It was hard to tell. One thing was for sure however, the inhabitants weren't human. Everything was ever so slightly too big, disturbingly so. The large door frames, larger windows, the spaces between rows of house. It all felt out of place but still ordinary. Like a place secretly built for tall people only. Not much else could be said about them, most things they had left behind long eroded to nothingness by the winds and sand. Wind that had been picking up speed for a while now. It wasn't dangerous by itself, but a sandstorm would be a real problem. As they progressed, amidst the ruins started appearing something new, spears. Long black spears. Stuck planted vertically in the sand. They weren't made of any kind of metal, rather of some absurdly sturdy rock. Despite the wear and tear caused by the red sand, some of them were still in decent shape. Sofia found one in a particularly good state, hidden in between two half-collapsed walls. She didn't know how to use spears, but it was better than nothing. Especially in a place where mana was limited. She checked just in case, but it had the exact same eerie description as every other spear. Nail of dominance, domination granted its subjects weapons carved out of his very being. They too, shall dominate. It is incredibly sturdy. Item level, 99. Grade, Ancient. Restriction, must be in the tallest 10% of their respective race. The restriction worked in a fascinating way. No matter what she tried, Alith couldn't even grab the weapons, her grip sliding right off. The spears fled her hands like water chasing gravity. It wasn't so long until they reached the place the compass pointed to. They saw it in the distance. Gargantuan. Alith instantly recognized the structure, it was so famous in her world, even she had heard of it. Surprised that she even managed to say it, despite the censoring that was usually so restrictive, she uttered a word. Pyramid. It stood like a mountain in the middle of the desert. A pyramid of black stone blocks. So wide and tall, Sofia thought she might not even reach the top. Was she able to use her wings? Awed by the sight, they soon reached a straight road, leading directly to the gaping entrance of the pyramid. Surrounded by gigantic statues of spear-wielding beastmen, it was the first time since they entered the desert that they enjoyed so much shade. There was no one guarding this place. Not a single soul. And despite that, the sand didn't encroach on the black pavings of the alley. As if the soil itself dared not sully this sacred place. On both sides of the entrance, a giant brasero was lit with blue flames. In a trance, Sofia, Alith, and Perith strode towards the black mountain. You have been affected by perception alteration. But your skills helped resist the status. I can't move. Her body was no longer hers, it was heading straight for the entrance of the pyramid with determined steps. Her mind word, the boosted analytical thinking speed of Way of the Fool was being used to its full potential. But she found no way out. Unable to resist, Sofia had to powerlessly watch as they all entered the dungeon, moving like inarticulate brainless puppets. Despite all her resistances, there was a status effect she could do nothing against. You have been affected by domination. Followed by an even worse message. You have entered the dungeon, lost Pyramid of Azar, certain death. Chapter 67, Trapped. To Sofia's great relief, she regained control of her body after entering the pyramid, and so did Alith. But when she turned back, there was no more entrance. Of course. I don't know what I expected. It was the same black brick wall that extended on both sides, forming a small corridor. The place was well lit, owing to wall-mounted torches burning with the same blue fire that had been in the brasero outside. Sofia tried to identify the fire, but all that came back was the description of a regular torch. Wait, we're inside? Alith asked in dismay. Yes, some kind of hypnosis. I half resisted so I could still see what happened, but I couldn't move. Or rather, my body moved by itself, like yours. Effect's name is domination. You think we could have avoided that by not touching the spears? Maybe. Too late for that though, it might be better to throw it away now in case it could do that again. Don't, it's still better than being barehanded, and identify didn't say anything about an effect like that, so. Also, you were the one holding it, but I've still been affected, so I think it might not be from that. Alright. Can you transform? Feels like I can. Alith assumed her banshee spirit form. She moved around a bit only to find out she couldn't go through the black brick walls. They weren't physically blocking her, rather rejecting her entry and pushing her back. My skills still as useless as ever. She turned back to her human form and asked the sentient armor for his opinion. Hey clothing stuff, any feedback? She didn't get an answer. Sofia broke the silence. It's probably sleeping, I guess. Right, well, we should at least finish what we came here for. Compass? Says to go left. We follow then, let me take the lead, since I have higher health. In fights focus on killing the things, Parith and me will be the bait. The hell do you mean take the lead and be bait? You good Sofia? You can't even use your bone armor. Parith is going first, you're behind. Can I rest for a minute? I don't really feel so good actually. Take your time, seems like we're relatively safe for now. Need healing? I don't think that would help. It's not like my health is doing bad or anything, Sofia explained as she weakly sat on the sandy floor. The world started spinning around her. Alith kept talking, not realizing what was going on, fooled by the effects of poker face, and you know what, get rid of the spear. I changed my mind. Also screw the armor, if we find a way to escape, we can always come back later. I feel faint. What? The world turned white, then grey, then black, in sudden shifts, then it all died down. Sofia saw but she didn't think. She could only experience, not understand. Something appeared, more vivid than the world, larger than the universe. It had always been there, she just couldn't see it. Words couldn't describe it. She felt it. It had no eyes, but watched everything. For the briefest of moments, it looked at her. The thing didn't talk but Sofia felt its message. Freedom. Something had changed. Wake up. Hey. Oh thank God. You okay? You passed out for a second. Alith was on her knees in front of Sofia, holding her shoulders. I'm fine. I don't know what happened, really, I felt like I had a weird hallucination, but I'm better now. Maybe it's your demon skill reacting to the whole domination thing and making a mess out of you. No idea. Could be. But I don't think so. Ready to go then? We need to find a way out. I still think we should follow the compass, unless you have a better idea, Sofia said as Alith helped her back up. Let's do it, but first we clean out the sand in this area. I'll make a circle for Zangdar. If shit goes wrong we rush here and teleport. Sounds like a plan, then Parith will scout ahead for traps while we search for the armor. There weren't any traps to be found. What was the point of building such a mess of corridors with no rooms and no traps? In fact, what is the point of this whole place? It was weird enough to be forcing people in, especially when they would have entered anyway, but now all there was inside was a big fuck-off labyrinth. Why? Do you want people in or not? Lost and confused, they followed the compass, which had been doing weird things too. It had them going in circles, backtracking through corridors they'd already gone through, taking long routes to somewhere they could have reached by taking another turn before. Sofia had been trying to keep a mental map of the place, but the more they walked, the less sense it made. If she believed her own map, they had walked through walls several times, and some corridors with no intersection passed through each other. I must be shit at cartography. Maybe I should get a classless skill for that. Somehow they ended up facing a wall. That was where the compass pointed. The compass must be broken, Alith said as she observed the wall. It was the same bumpy black bricks every other wall was made out of. Sofia touched the dark bricks, searching for something out of place. It's from the system, no way it's broken, this has to be the right way, somehow. You really trust the system to a fault even with your broken class and all. It's just common sense? Do you not expect the sun to go up every morning? Yes, the breathing argument from back at the towers. The sun isn't throwing error messages at anyone's face though. Their banter was interrupted by a certain piece of clothing. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Anyway, there's been this really nice smell around for a while. I'm getting very hungry. And you should absolutely check behind this wall. I wouldn't doubt Sir Compass' integrity. Alith looked down at the thing she was actually wearing. Any idea how to open the wall then? Seems like solid bricks. Why? You breathers think in weird ways. You have blasted mithril blades. Cut through the damn thing already. That works. Sofia and Alith answered in sync. Now that I think about it, I only used them on the siren. Here goes nothing. She struck the wall with her weapon. The blade effortlessly sunk in the black bricks. Dumbfounded, Alith carved out a path in the wall, one chunk at a time. It was all very real solid bricks of the same hard material that made up the whole pyramid, but it stood no chance against the mithril-coated blades. What in the world? Mithril is absurd. How is it so cheap? Wait, can't we just dig our way out of this place then? Sofia asked the cloth. Sure thing you can, if whatever that brought you in lets you leave. I'm going back to sleep now, don't bother me until you find my food. Sof. I see the other side. Dark corridor. It turned out this wall was some sort of secret passage meant to be used from the other side only, that would retract the bricks using a large mechanical contraption built into the walls. Despite Alith pulling the lever that was meant to activate the whole thing, nothing happened. Maybe it was too old, or maybe the machine couldn't work without the parts she had slashed through to carve a path. Either way, it was underwhelming. Past the wall was a short dark tunnel, ending in a spiral staircase leading up. This narrow pathway felt out of place in this environment otherwise designed for tall people. They went up the stairs, which spanned multiple floors without a single exit, and led to a rectangular room. It was made of the same dark stone bricks but felt vastly different. Alith walked up to a narrow bed tucked in a corner, a secret bedroom. Looks like it. No one's been around for a very long time, I would say. The small room wasn't much of anything, there was a bed and a desk, nothing else, not even a window. A flat stone tablet sat on the desk, with the finest most intricate ritual circle Sofia had ever seen engraved on it. Sofia asked for Alith's opinion, do we activate that? Can we? There's a mana entry engraving in there. I don't know much else but I can recognize this one. So if we just push some mana into it. Also, Identify isn't reacting to the tablet, no idea why, Sofia explained. Alright, I'll do it, go back down, just in case it's dangerous, Alith said as she approached the tablet. Sofia climbed all the way down the stairs, she could still see inside the room through Parith. As Alith sent more and more mana into the tablet, the ritual circle filled with blue light. It activated fully, the tablet split in small chunks which flew around and rearranged themselves, stacking up to take the shape of a short-legged chunky dwarf with a short stubble beard. That's it. Some kind of toy sculpture that builds itself. Alith mumbled to herself. My name is... I shouldn't say, actually, the current year is 2587, if you found this message. Chapter 68, Madness. The tiny self-built sculpture of a dwarf was unmoving, but it started emitting sound, a recording of a time long past. 2587. That's 600 years ago. If you found this message, that means you're certainly a fellow dwarf. How did you like my space magic? So this is why my map made no sense. I hope it didn't age too badly, don't shame me if it did, brother, different times. I built this room as a safe space in this kingdom of fools, so that no brother would die from my creation. Honestly, this isn't my proudest work, the two beastmen heroes I'm working with are a reprehensible bunch, but I couldn't deny their offer. There was a moment of silence, then the dwarf spoke in a much more lively tone. They're paying me with parts of Gadger's armor. Can you believe that? Absolute bog goblins. Imagine having Gadger's masterpiece for yourself and trading the parts for a shoddy pile of black Primus resin bricks. This is the biggest scam of my career. Ah ha 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 ha. Guess we know what we're looking for now. Never heard of Gadger. Some ancient dwarven smith, I guess. Oh, dear brother, back to the topic. If you find yourself in here, well, it means the so-called heroes failed, which they will, so you can't leave until you finish them off. I made extra sure the ritual chamber would fuck up their ugly faces. That's right, I know what they're trying to do, not on my watch. The Demon King can go fuck himself for all I care. For disrespecting Gadger's work like this, they'll never become apostles, not with me alive. Demons coming up again. I had a strong itch from the whole domination thing, it's confirmed now. So it's two beastmen heroes who failed at becoming sons of domination? Perhaps the pyramid and the black lances were parts of the ritual. What happens when you fail? And who the fuck is the Demon King? It pains me to leave the rest of Gadger's masterpiece here, but this is all I can manage. I'm barely able to go against them now, there is nothing I can do after they mutate. And there's no way I'm tipping anyone off about this, lest they try taking possession of the parts I have. I'm never coming back to this awful desert, I've failed at the 6th, so I will never defeat these myself, especially with domination's mind goblin Ares. Truly leaves a taste of dirt in my mouth. But I'm leaving these relics for you to find, whose greed cannot reach me. Best of luck, brother. 6th. 100,200,250. The dwarf statuette crumbled at the end of the message, leaving behind a small shiny key in a pile of stone dust. Wait, this dwarf was level 349 and he left a priceless relic here because the mutated heroes would be too strong. Gives certain death a lot more credibility. Alith grabbed the key and Perith, putting the ladder on her shoulder, and joined Sofia down the spiral staircase. She held up the small key. What now? We leave, Sofia said decisively. I'm with you on this one, but how? The sort of mind control effect that led us in here, don't you think it's weird how it stopped right after we entered? I'm thinking that maybe it's pretty limited, might not be able to keep us from leaving if you carve out an exit through the walls, Sofia theorized. Where do we dig then? Finding the place where we entered could take a while with the space magic shenanigans going on. We try to go to the nearest edge on my mental map and go straight? We're bound to hit the end eventually. Don't you remember how huge the pyramid looked? We could be here for weeks at this rate. Well, I don't have anything better. I do that, let Perith explore the place in the meantime then, kinda sad he can't use the compass in my place, or we could have just let him do all the exploration. Oh, and can you identify the key? Nope, same as the tablet, doesn't pick it up. How does it work on an archangel and not a dumb stone key exactly? Sometimes the system does actually not make so much sense. Alith had to cut through 6 thick walls in a row before finding one that was even thicker. That was probably going to be their escape door, but Alith had been going at it for more than an hour already, and they still didn't see the end. Perith had walked around the labyrinth all the while, not finding anything new, but making an interesting discovery. The space magic was actually merging different corridors, seemingly at random, so you could never know where you were. There wasn't any way that Sofia could find to see it. The actual magic had to be very subtle because her mana perception hadn't shown her anything. She only found out when her perception of Perith's localization compared to her zipped around to hundreds of meters away, then back where it had been when she made him immediately backtrack. Sofia kept doing her part of the excavation job, carrying the rebel out of the several meters long tunnel. Black Primus resin, a chunk of resin extracted from a giant black Primus tree. Much like the tree itself, the resin has the property of existing in both the physical and the spiritual plane. Item level, 0 grade, valuable. She stored a tiny small sample in the sand pendant. Explains why Alith couldn't get through. Why would anyone go out of their way to make such a big structure out of this? She was dumping the broken pieces of black bricks when she heard Alith stop hitting. You made it, she asked. She couldn't see the end of the tunnel since Alith was in the way. Judging by how her head was stuck against the wall, they probably found their way out. Yep, blue sky and red sand in sight, lots of it. All right, let's get going. Sofia held out her hand and Perith appeared right on it. His new ability to teleport back to her found its first use. I better not try to have him land in my hand when it's a human skeleton. Wait, actually I'm pretty sure I could lift a real human with one hand, let alone a skeleton. It was hard to adjust to the knowledge that her body was several times stronger than it used to for her whole early life. Surely something that anyone passing through the filters had to struggle with at some point. What she could achieve still wasn't inhuman by any means, but it didn't match her physique in the slightest. Alith kept enlarging the hole in the wall, until the daylight reached Sofia. It was still a small hole but they could fit through. I can fit through. Right. She could, barely, but she could, when Alith had slipped through without a problem. They were outside, still on the pyramid but outside. It turned out they weren't actually in the base of the pyramid, but somewhere around halfway up. More space magic shenanigans. Explains the wall behind us when we entered. There had been no sign of anything trying to stop them so far. But upon reaching the bottom of the pyramid, Sofia had a bad feeling. She stepped down from the last row of bricks and onto the red sand. You have been affected by domination. But your skills negated the status. Wait, what? Seeing Sofia still normal, Alith stepped down too, and was assaulted by the same message. It repeated constantly. They looked at each other. You negated the domination too? Sofia asked first. Yeah. Since when do you have a skill for that? You combined something new when I was digging. Even if I did, my skills don't extend to you except for Blessing of the Deep. Sofia had to check. Blessing of the Deep, the Saintess was granted a name. They may see the inhabitants of the deep. LV.1, the Saintess and their summons are immune to the mind control, hypnosis, confusion, insanity, domination, soul parasite and instant death status effects. Next function unlocks at skill level 200. She showed Alith the description window. So, you remember that hallucination I was talking about? I think. I feel very differently about it now. So the deep man had you faint, came in your dreams and upgraded your blessing. Alith tried her best to understand. All the while the messages about resisting domination kept ringing in their minds. I wish that was just that. Yet honestly that wouldn't sound too bad. You know what does, though? Soul parasite. One more thing to ask Cooley when we see her. I won't complain about resisting it. What worries me is that it looks like you got the immunity to domination because that was used against you. If you see what I mean. Sofia shuddered. Let's get out of here. Fast. If she couldn't know then it was better to forget about it for the time being. She really wished she could forget about it. The messages kept ringing all the way until the giant black pyramid was no more than a black dot on the horizon. We'll be back. Chapter 69, Nice. They were back at the ruined city, taking a break in the entrance of the underground dungeon, away from the red sand. Walking all this time to come back empty-handed felt terrible, so they wanted to try to tackle the earth golems inside of there. But they couldn't dive in without a plan. The biggest gripe was how restricted Sofia was. Heal undead and the wings couldn't be used indoors and even less so in this monoless desert. Even if she could now probably use Angel's Bolt from the ground, doing so in a restricted space was straight up suicide. She had no bones for her armor, and Perith was stuck in a chicken skeleton. All she could really work with was her new skill, Graveyard of the Righteous, that did no damage, and summon blood. That wouldn't help much against earth golems that were around level 200 according to the dungeon's level. Sofia went over her complete status, letting Alith check it as well. Name, Sofia Afinareth. Age, 20. Class, Saintess. Level, 100. Health, 5500/5500. Stamina, 1500/1500. Mana, 44500/44500, -10,000. Specialization, Eclipse Skeleton. Active skills, 5/6. Heal Undead, level 56. Summon Blood, level 17. Angel's Bolt, level 100. Maiden Banshee, level 100, LV.100. Graveyard of the Righteous, level 100. Passive skills, 5/6. Blessing of the Deep, level 100. Armor of Bones, level 100. Pristine Essence. Valkyria's Rihafen of Sorrow. Holy Wings of Undeath. Classless skills, 6/6. Menial Chores, level 7. Sprint, level 3. Fast Reading, level 19. Way of the Fool, level 3. Poker Face, level 9. Identify, level 1. Summoned Heroes, 2/4. LV.100 Parath, Holy Chicken Eclipse Skeleton. LV.100 Alith, Maiden Banshee. Available active skills. Dispel, dispels. Mist, in a thick mist. Soul, to the Necromancer's life force. No available passive skills. No available classless skills. What if you make Dispel Soul Mist? Alith asked. I don't know. I don't really like the feeling of it. What if it's some kind of mental status effect cleanse? That's pretty much already what Blessing of the Deep does. You can get rid of sprint and menial chores, but you need a replacement. Can't you ask the scribe to give you new ones? Can I? It did listen to my complaints sometimes before. Please wait. Alith's eyes went wide at the appearance of Sofia's new system notification. No way, it really worked? What the hell? Hey, can I have that too? But nothing happened, making her frown in frustration. It wasn't the first time she tried things that didn't work. This time it was made worse by working for Sofia and not her. Alith. I don't know if you're a genius or if I'm dumb. How many times do I have to be surprised by discovering things like that? You're too used to the system being a rigid thing. I don't have the same preconceived notions about it. There's more things that I'd still like to try. But I think my system is a bit less responsive than yours, probably has to do with your scribe thing. Can't you use mine then? You're already linked to one of my skills, so maybe that could work somehow. Please wait. Ascending request. Granted. Linkage operational cost, 5,000 maximum mana. Will you accept? Sofia didn't even ponder over it and just accepted. What's 5,000 more or 5,000 less at this point? Link has been established. Are you sure about this? Alith asked when she realized what had happened. Don't even worry about it. If you get stronger, we both benefit. It's not wasted to me. Thank you then. But what if I leave? Are you going to? See. Anyway, ask to get more classless skills again. Please wait. Sofia nodded in satisfaction as Alith's new message appeared. Mana well spent. Wanna try to hunt something else instead? I'd like a better skeleton for Parath. One big enough that I could regrow him a few times for armor without emptying all my mana. Maybe we could even feed my armor to your dumb shirt. That'd be nice if it works. We've seen nothing alive in this drab desert besides burrowing insects is the problem, Alith complained. Tyreen mentioned worms. With a bit of luck we could find some. Worms are usually quite small. And would they even have bones? I don't think the worms in my world ever had any. I don't know about the size, but one of my available specialization paths for Parath was sandworm, so if I had to guess they must have a skeleton. Unless there's multiple types of sandworms. Can't hurt to try, though it's still not ideal even if we get that. Can't see a worm using a sword, or fighting too well when we leave the desert. The discussion about worms was interrupted by a new message for each. Full skin complete. New classless skills available. Who goes first? Sofia said. Me, Alith answered. I only need to replace alchemy, should be quick. Available classless skills. Acrobatics. Aerobics. Assassination. Caregiving. Climbing. Dancing. Decisive. Discipline. Evasion. Exploring. Fire affinity. Follower. Hero's charisma. Hero's luck. Jittery. Meditation. Negotiating. Orienteering. Planar shift. Poison resistance. Quick step. Robust. Shenanigans. Sneaking. Sprint. Tend. Thievery. Tireless. Toned. Weapon throwing. Or not. And it gave us no options before. Sofia exclaimed. She looked through her list as well, it was even longer. Since they had so much to read through, they went ahead and thought about their choices by themselves. In the end, Alith replaced cooking and alchemy with planar shift and toned. Planar shift, transitions between planes and teleportation delay is 1%, 1* skill level, faster. Eventually she'll be able to switch from specter to human and back instantly. Toned, grant additional capacity to the nervous system. Your maximum stamina is increased by 10,000 per 100 class levels. Bonus cosmetic effects. Synergizes well with Shinobi, no clue what the nerve capacity thing is supposed to do. It was very strong how much stamina it gave, but had the weird downside of being a locked classless skill. Well, at least it doesn't need leveling up. It was also the first time they saw a skill explicitly mention cosmetic additions, and it resulted in Alith's muscles being slightly more defined, if still quite discreet. Sofia had a sneaking suspicion that this had been the bigger decisive factor. Considering her complex with her youthful appearance. Especially now that most of her torso was always exposed. Sofia wouldn't even have been shocked if Alith had taken Hero's charisma or tanned as well. Though they were both tanning well enough already in their current situation. Meanwhile, Sofia chose to replace menial chores and sprint with sanctity and mana manipulation. Sanctity, reduce damages to the body by 0.5%, 0.5* skill level. I know I have more health now, but I really want to avoid reliving the siren fights get killed in 2 hits scenario. Also don't want to end up like Fox did in the trial. As long as I'm alive I can let Parath and Alith do the attacking. And the name is fitting. Mana manipulation, your mana framework's self-correcting capabilities are doubled. I'm not sure I fully understand this one, but if that can help me manage large amounts of mana better, that would be perfect. Since it's a locked classless like toned, it can't be weak. I hope. The other options weren't so interesting anyway. I just want something that helps with my wings. Kind of a gamble, but then again, what isn't these days? I should really look into a less destructive attacking skill next. Maybe pick up a bow or something. Alith seemed happy with the cosmetic changes, observing herself from every angle she could. Looks good on you, Sofia complimented. Yeah, I kinda like it too. Feels nice. Now you only need one to be taller. Nah, I'm fine. As long as I don't look like an actual child, you know. It's not like I dislike how I am this much. Anyway, worm time? Or do we fuck off this crap desert? She asked, taking an exaggerated smug pose with her arms crossed. Did you just use utterly unimpressed? What? I need to get used to it if I'm going to be using it in battle. Did you see how it lasts 5 seconds but my stacks from Air of Fire only last for 3? I'm getting scammed as usual. She struck another pose. It's not on cooldown. Sofia asked with a raised eyebrow. It is, I just want to try different poses. Alright. So the sandworms. I should have a bit more information on my permanent backlog from the specialization, yeah, here, take a look. The system message appeared before Alith. Path of the Sandworm. Unlocking requirements. Has slept in sand. Has eaten sand. Has played with worms. Likes red meat. Likes the smell of blood. Often shows blatant disregard for their own safety. Description: the sandworm is an apex predator. Your skeleton will become a sandworm skeleton, adept at burrowing and mincing its prey. Once it attacks, it will never relent until it or its target is dead for good. Swift and resilient, it is the scourge of the sands. Strange requirement. That's strong though, why didn't you take this? I don't know, it didn't feel right. I didn't want anything that locked Perith in a single skeleton type. Alith threw a glance at the skeletal chicken. Well. Anyway, that doesn't tell us much, except that fighting it in the sand is a bad idea, which I could have guessed without that, to be honest. I have heard of it somewhere else, I believe. Let me think for a bit, Sofia said as she sat cross-legged in the sand. It took her a good 30 seconds before it finally clicked. Oh. Nicey. I mean, Cardinal, the vampire, during the trial he spoke about how his team had gone to hunt sandworms. Well, he spoke about a lot of things really. And so? Blood. They smell blood from super far away was the thing he said, I'm pretty sure. Looking at your specialization thing, that does make sense. Can we really take them down though? Chapter 70, Worm. Sofia and Alith decided to retreat first. Hunting a sandworm right now was too risky since they knew so little about them. And had no armor. And because Perith was a chicken. And they could not regenerate mana, not fast enough anyway. And Sofia couldn't use her wings. There were a lot of factors that made them reluctant to actually fight. They had been way too optimistic about chasing the relic armor, they had recklessly charged into the desert. Now they had to go back, having made little to no progress in anything. It only took 4 days this time. As they looked and finally spied a hint of green on the horizon, Alith started going on a weird topic. Say, can't you just use my bones for Perith? Excuse me? Yet I mean, you can resummon me, right? Do you have any idea how long getting that much mana would take? And that's weird. And gross. I don't want that, what the hell? And like, what if? What if the resurrected Alith isn't you? Not me. Alith took a second to understand what she meant, oh, like a copy or something, but not the same. Or if my memory gets erased back to before I came here. Her expression changed a lot the longer she talked, ending up in a perfect melange of emotions, from worry to disgust. Okay, no, I changed my mind, not dying if I can avoid it. Yep. Didn't think of it like that at all. I want none of that either. I'm good. See? Yet I get it now. Well, too bad. I can never team up with myself, I guess. The problem with Perith is always finding a skeleton. Should we just kill someone or what? Sounds like something Cooley would do, she sneered. She's not that bad. Well, that shit she did to me did hurt, but I get where she was coming from, kind of. We'd probably be dead under the sea right now without her advice. Right. The herbal tea was not bad, I guess, and she knows a thing or two, still though. I'll be the one to punch her when I'm level 300. Just once. The summoning punch thing was a breeze compared to the level up to 100, honestly. Or compared to carving out my own heart. Back then it all went so fast, I was shocked more than anything, bit like when you pull out an arrow, it hurts a lot once then. Sofia. Do you hear yourself talk? You worry me sometimes, really. I'm not the one who volunteered her own skeleton to a necromancer. Fair point. Also, when the hell did you get hit by an arrow? Long story. They had made it to the border of the desert again. Being back into an environment full with mana was appeasing. They could return to the glass factory if they flew a bit, but that wasn't exactly in their plans. Instead, Sofia cut off her own wing. Doesn't hurt? Alith asked as she came closer to heal Sofia. Not really, I feel the mana flow panicking a bit, but that's about it. Alright, let's fill up this bone storage then, gimme your hand. Alith rolled her eyes at the ridiculousness of her skill. I can never get used to it, really, she added in between two kisses on the side of Sofia's hand. How many times do we need to do that to completely fill it up? Around 3,000. Half if I cut both wings. Let's settle at like 50. They did that a few times until Sofia could activate the armor. They would try feeding it to Alith's doppel. This was how they decided to call the annoying piece of clothing, since that was part of its system description. Sofia couldn't actually take off the armor, even less so only the torso, so Alith had the delicate job to cut it out on the spot with her commas. It was something of a nightmare for Sofia to try to wiggle out of there after the parts were separated, but it was necessary. Doppel had insisted that the armor piece had to be in the best condition if they wanted the best protection. It's funny how it gives you a kind of skirt now, Alith pointed out. The armor had adapted to go over the robe, giving her a sort of armored long skirt, and she still had the leg armor underneath. That's actually an added layer of protection. But it does limit my movements a bit. A decent trade-off, I guess. I could roll up the robe before activating the armor to change back if I want. Alith grabbed the separated bone chest plate. You awake, Doppel? Your food is ready, she said nonchalantly. Oh. Yes, I was taking a nap. Excuse me. Well. Bring it, please, I cannot grab it myself. The bone chest plate slowly sank in the black piece of cloth on Alith's torso. Hey! That's some good stuff. You could have done this all along and you went in the desert without protection. You really need some coaching. Sofia interrupted Doppel's monologue. That's right, imagine if we had something along the lines of a millennia-old sentient clothing piece to help us make better decisions. Sure would be nice, wouldn't it? Of course, now you shut up. You better at least protect Alith well. I think you hurt its ego. Alith shrugged, then tried to hit herself. Her punch impacted an invisible armor a few centimeters away from her exposed skin. It looked like she didn't feel anything. Works great, she added with a thumbs up. Now we fill your armor stock a bit and get to worming. Their plan was quite simple. Summon a lot of blood on the border of the sand, wait out far away. If a worm came, they'd fight with Alith on the ground, Parith as a support and Sofia in the air. If no worm came, they would try again a few kilometers further east. Like that, they would never have to go deep in the desert where mana was restricted. Summon blood reached level 18. Summon blood reached level 22. It also gave Sofia a few summon blood level ups. Easier to make money later. I should focus on this now, and heal undead. Guess I can cut off my wings and heal them by myself to train. Actually, they should count as undead, right? She checked that on the spot. They did. She could now heal herself. But just the wings. Small victories. They dumped blood at 16 different spots before something happened. It began with a low rumble. A shiver in the sand. It was as though the dunes came alive, bristling up like the fur of a terrorized cat. Hey, looks like we got one, Alith rejoiced, swinging her blades. The ground shook. Springing out of the sand, the worm appeared. The first to act was Alith. She ran for her life. This was no simple worm. This was a titan. Wide like a house, several hundreds of meters long, a force of nature in the flesh. It obscured the sky in its colossal majesty, and plunged in an arc toward the sand stained with blood. Sofia dove down like a bird of prey and grabbed Alith, carrying her away as fast as she could. The ring, Sofia urged. They could have just flown away, which was actually their original retreat plan, but the thing was so tall that it could no doubt reach higher than the mana density near the desert allowed Sofia to fly. And they wouldn't take the bet that they could outrun this thing. Out of caution after their last mess up at the pyramid, they had prepared a backup retreat plan. Before dumping the blood they would always draw a teleportation circle to Zangdar, just in case. It had to be a bit further away, or the red sand would no doubt mess up the mana flow. Alith started to activate the ring before they even reached the ritual circle. Parith had teleported onto Sofia's back. The instant they landed in the circle, the trio disappeared. They were back in the locked city, exactly where they had left the last time. That was a sandworm, right? Sofia asked. She felt a sudden sense of loss as she thought back to her skill specialization choice. Can you even still call that a worm? I don't want to know what a damned dragon looks like. Imagine if we could get that skeleton though. And reanimate it with what blood exactly? Even if summon blood was level 500 you probably wouldn't be able to summon enough to activate the circle. Did you see how long the thing was? Actually we wouldn't even manage to draw the circle that big. Can't you let a skeleton enthusiast dream? Whatever, going to this desert was a mistake from the start. Let's just level up here, again. Yeah about that, Sofia. Don't you notice something weird? The dungeon. Sofia had been busy opening the visor of her helmet. She was hit by a sudden revelation at Alitha's words. The system message about re-entering a dungeon. It was missing.